Well, here's an interesting one. I wanted to do this Les Paul uh, basically to test out the new Nitrolack lacquer I've got. It's not one I've made. It's a Chinese kit that I bought some time ago, which was advertised as 1958 Les Paul. And to be honest, it's really good. I mean, for the money, I think it was about £300 or something. I mean, it's nice mahogany, maple top. Everything's right, and it's even got the nibbed frets, which is quite good. But there's obvious things that aren't right with it. I've tried to correct them. I've as much as I want to, really, considering it's not going to be too close to the real thing anyway. But I've recarved the top, mainly round the edges, sort of thing, to make it more realistic. It had much too much of a recurve on it before. Also, I've taken the fretboard off and planed the bottom of it down, which was quite a difficult task, and glued it back on. The fretboard was much too thick. It also didn't have binding round the edge, so once I'd recarved the edge of the body, the top that was correct, I put binding on it, sort of thing, just to get it in the ballpark, really. But like I say, nice guitar, and I've never done a dark burst before, and I just wanted to outline the process of doing that in the whole thing, really, and using that Nitrolack lacquer, and go on to relic it to see how good the lacquer would relic as advertised, sort of thing. The problem is, obviously from doing this load of waffle over a still picture, is my phone went wrong and lost a lot of videos of me doing the work on it, which is not really significant anyway. But the other thing is, I finished it to the stage you see in this picture, and it looked absolutely lovely. I thought it did anyway, and so did one of my friends as well. And we couldn't make our mind whether it was one to relic or not. I hadn't done it as a sort of as new thing anyway. I mean, I'd had this kit in its bare form for probably since before COVID, long time. So I've had it lying around a long time, and it's got dings and dents in it, sort of thing. So it did kind of lend itself to relicking at the offset. But once I'd finished it, basically my friend decided that I'd actually like that, and can I buy it off you as it is, which sorry, slurp of tea, which I thought, I've got enough projects going on, sort of thing, and I'm not really too much into doing guitars that aren't sort of accurate, kind of thing. And like I say, this was just a test for the lacquer, so I got half of that done. So you'll have to bear with me, because there's not much video on this, but just so you've got a bit of a background story of it. And now I can get on and do the process of how I got the dark burst on it, which is quite interesting. And as you can see from the result, or hopefully you got the same opinion as me, that it looks pretty darn sexy. So there we go. Thanks very much. Let's get on with the rest of the videos now. Well, hi there, and welcome back to 3R Guitars. We've got this Chinese kit Les Paul here. I'm finishing now. I've put 3 coats of sanding sealer on it, and given it a sanding back, and it's like pretty perfect now, although I've just felt a little bit that's not. It's fine now, and one of the things, I mean, I've said it before plenty of times, you don't really want to do much sanding
or any sanding when you've got the lacquer on. You really want to do that all before and get it perfect with the sanding sealer, because it's so much easier to sand and it's got much better filling properties. We had a slight dent here, you know, that was over due to the recurve sort of thing, and you know, there'll be dark sunburst over there anyway. But what I did when I was spraying the top with the last coat of sanding sealer yesterday, I actually you know, went over that about 3 or 4 times just to thicken it up. So now it's flat there. Now you can just see a little dark patch of where it was. There are some digs in here that I've done with the little thumb plane that I'm not going to sand out. I mean, it was just getting this to the right profile, but you know, because of the nature of what it actually is, you know, I don't really want to afford you know, an eon of time to get everything perfect when it won't be you know, particularly, you know, great guitar to well, yeah, it's good, but it's not right sort of thing. Some bits aren't right on it, obviously. So on the back now, this is where I've sanded this down thoroughly again. There are some dents in the back. I mean, this guitar has been laying around for three plus years, so there's gouges here and things, which I mean I can build into the aging sort of thing, no problem. But basically it's dead flat and smooth. It's had the walnut, dark oak walnut grain filler, which is, you know, fine. And what I want to do next now is I want to start finishing it, and the first thing I'm going to do is get this back. Just noticing a few last bits that didn't quite. Get this back sprayed with a dark walnutty lacquer sort of thing. You can see where I've sanded here, like on the neck. You can see lighter patches and things like that where you know, I've put the grain filler on and then felt a bit of a rough patch and then had to sand it again. But what you'll find is these blotchy bits kind of thing, you know, these light patches like there and whatnot, they look really nice when you spray them, because you get a slight unevenness sort of thing. It just makes it look more violin-like rather than plastic lacquer sort of thing. I mean, I've got a lot of deeper scratches in there and some in here, but I'm not going to get them off because this guitar is not worth the time to me sort of thing to do it. And when I've done it, I want someone to have the opportunity to buy a really nice Les Paul-esque guitar with a nice finish on it for not a lot of money. So you know, I've got to cut my cloth where I can sort of thing, but it's going to be nice anyway. So the next step is I want to mask up the binding on the sides. Obviously don't want the dark lacquer to go on there, so I'll do that first and then I'll bring you back.
Hi there. Well, another little fill-in bit here because of lost videos. This is the guitar with the dark blue edge sprayed round it. The subsequent little bit of video that is going to come up will explain a bit more about it, but I just wanted to explain the background. Basically, you know, when you look at old Gibsons, the red has faded away completely on quite a few of them, on the T-burst sort of ones and things like that, and it's not unusual that the red is really faint or non-existent basically. And when Gibson, from what I've read, when Gibson sprayed the red around the edge, a mixture of red dye had an awful lot of blue in it. And this you can certainly see when you actually look at the red. And what happens is the actual red component of the dye basically fades out and leaves you with the blue, what's left. So what I've done here is just sprayed blue on, and obviously no red in it at all. And this is what gives the very like dark edge to to the dark sunbursts. So it's a case really of trying to emulate what the shortcomings of the red dye was back in the 50s. And you'll see later on how much this blue actually affects subsequent coats of coloured lacquer going over it. I will emphasise there's no black at all used in this sunburst. So yeah, bear with me with this video, but at least we're getting it done.
Left the back set. The back's got two coats on it now, one of the wrong shade of walnut and one of the right shade. When I left it to set for 24 hours, it sanded down really well, especially with some wet and dry. It didn't tend to clog the sandpaper, which indicates that it's not set, so I think that's definitely something you have to do with this lacquer, is do a coat and leave it 24 hours. So we'll see how this goes now, and yeah, I'm quite looking forward to it, because I can kind of see it looking right. But and with the, I've said it before, but with the yellow for the the Les Paul sunburst, it does have a fair amount of red in it, much more so than a Fender look. So that'll be something we'll address as well. But yeah, I mean, it's nice now with this guitar that I'm getting through to getting the finish on, which was the whole purpose of it. So there we go. Thanks very much. Back in the AM. Well, hi there and welcome to 3R Guitars. Doing this like Chinese Les Paul kit guitar again. And from our previous videos, we're trying to go for this really like dark burst, in this burst book, what they call a dark burst. Let me just get a picture of it for you. We're going for something maybe like that, or like this sort of thing with a really dark edge, probably more, more something like that I'm going for. But I don't want a particularly bright yellow center. I prefer the more like I really quite like that. That's quite nice, I think. But even with a slightly darker sort of center, like I've always liked this guitar here on this page with the trapeze tailpiece, this kind of much more orangey yellow sort of thing. I really like that. And so I'm kind of picking the best bits. Again, I like that, but a bit more of a subdued yellow. So see that I suppose that one is what I'm actually like going for, kind of thing, I guess, yellow wise, but a darker, bigger band of red. But like I say, in the past I've only done like more of the really faded look ones. So this is a real experiment for me, and we could well be like sanding it all off and just starting again, because I really want to experiment, what I've found in the past, putting blue around the edge. And let me just say, what I've done is I've sprayed this with the orangey yellow, and then I've gone round the edge with the blue for the the explanation I did in the previous videos. And obviously with the yellow underneath and the blue on top, it's gone to look a little bit green. And without putting too much imagination on it. Now in this state you can actually see where the T-burst comes from. If you actually like faded this all out and the blue was much fainter, you'd kind of get that T-burst look, where the red pigment is all faded away. Now but this, like I say, what I'm going for is that really dark edge. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm really, really in new territory here. So if it all doesn't work, then it's out with the sandpaper, get it all off, and just start again. Yeah, I'll be interested to see. So what I've done today is I've sprayed the yellow on, which is really thin, and I've put the blue on, which is a bit naughty because it says you should only you should allow 24 hours between coats. But I just wanted to see what it would look like, plus the fact it's really thin. So just leave this dry now for the 24 hours, and we'll go over it in red and see what happens. Yeah, they're going to be interesting actually. So there we go. Finished for today, and yeah, we shall see. I do like this yellow in the middle though. I like that dark, more golden sort of yellow. Say it's mixed. It almost looks red, when I've tipped the screwdriver out of it. Here's what it looked like on there. It's got a lot of red in it that I've put in it, so we'll see what happens there, and go from there. But thank you for watching, and cross fingers we get a good result. Well, here we go, and yeah, success, eh? I mean, I was, I've played around with that blue trick before, and yeah, it's perfect really. I really like it. I mean, you can see how much lighter the red is before it goes over to the blue here, over the blue round the edge, and we've got it's just nice and dark around the edge. I might actually just spray a hint of blue over that red there because it's a bit light, but I think that I might just leave it. I'm going to leave it a day. I hope in the pictures it actually doesn't look very good in the pictures. In the photograph it looks very yellow in the middle, but I don't know whether the light just doesn't do it justice or something, but that's what it's more like, I think, there really. But you can see how well that blue darkens up the red round the edge without any black sort of thing. But yeah, so that's quite a success. I'm gonna leave that set now, but yeah, I think that's come out really well. Just hope it does in the camera. It just looks as though the red is like almost like a bloody masked bandit looking in the phone. It looks awful. But let's stand it up again and see if that changes it a little bit. I don't know. I hope the camera comes out well on it, sort of thing. But because that looks really good. I'm pleased with that. So yeah, all good, and obviously leave it dry for another 24 hours and then come back to it, scrape the binding off, and go from there. Good stuff. Well, hi there and welcome back to 3R Guitars. I've just sprayed the final coat of lacquer on this dark burst now. Just to go over a few things. I mean, I was a bit annoyed with myself because I'd not mixed up enough lacquer, just enough to do the first 2 coats, and I wanted to put a 3rd coat on it, so I had to mix some more. And the temptation is just to tip a little bit more lacquer in the pot that you mixed it in first of all, add a bit of thinners, stir it up, but you are doing the final coat, and the final coats of lacquer are obviously the most important. So it's not a time to try and cut corners sort of thing. I mean, I mix my paint in proprietary mixing cups sort of thing. So out with a new one this morning, mix a fresh bit of lacquer. I sanded down this with a 3000 grit wet and dry, just to take the little nibs off it, and then wipe the water off from the wet and dry with a clean kitchen towel. And then what I use is again a proprietary, what they call tack rag, which is like a sticky rag which takes off a powder and dust. And I mean, you can see, I don't know if you can, there's little bits of dust down there. You just wipe it over with that and it sticks to the cloth sort of thing. And it's very difficult to get, you don't want to go, if you haven't got a tack rag, you don't want to go like smearing your hands over it or anything like that and getting oil on it, or from your hands or whatever. So that's all I'm saying is just do it properly. And because it's the most horrible thing if you go to put the final coat on and you get bits in it or you get runs in it, you kind of think all that work is kind of wasted. So just be careful. I mean, this has come out really, really nice, as you can see. We've got the this dark burst now, which I've never done before, and I'm super happy with it. It looks really nice. I mean, it's almost going to be a shame to relic it, really, but we're doing this to test this product, this Nitrolack product, which is actually produced for spraying guitars by a company in Spain, I believe, and it's meant to mimic the formula of the what the original guitars in the 50s were finished with. So I mean, I did the Stratocaster with it, but that was over some existing finish I had on there that I'd done. So this is 100% Nitrolack, and I have to say that it's taken me a little while to get used to it. The huge secret with this is follow the instructions, where you one coat a day, 24 hours to dry, and definitely thin coats. I mean, when I'm spraying with my normal lacquer I used to use, I'd be quite sort of, I'd almost be doing two coats in one. I'd spray over and then spray the sides sort of thing, and then I'll spray that side again, I'll spray this side, I'll go over the top again and turn it over and do the back a couple of times. So I'd almost be putting on two coats in one. And then when I was doing the final coats of lacquer, I'd do them all in a day, really. I'd spray the first on, leave it dry for about 3/4 of an hour, something like that, and while it's still like tacky, spray another coat on. I mean, that's a pretty typical procedure sort of thing, but with this, I think follow the instructions. And a couple of things I've noticed with it, it's much thinner when you spray it, so that's why you just spray one light coat on, and it comes out much more shiny. But when you spray it, you initially spray it on and it looks slightly dry or a bit orange peely, what you call. But as the temptation is then, there's not quite enough on there, spray over. But don't, just leave it, and by the time you've finished with, say, your third stripe of spraying across the top, this first bit has flowed into, it's got very good flow properties, and I think you can see how shiny it is out of the spray gun. It's amazing. But yep, so that's that. I'm not going to waffle on about it anymore. I do like the product, and you know, now it will be going away in the airing cupboard or somewhere warm to set for 2 to 3 weeks. Sometime in that period I'll polish it, and that'll be another test to see how well it polishes up, sort of thing. You know, there we go. But it's looking good so far. I like it as a product, so there we are. And I'm certainly not being paid anything to do that, but yep, it's all good. So there we go. Thank you very much. Well, hi there, and welcome back to 3R Guitars. Well, my shed's been a bit cleaned up and I'm looking a bit less like a homeless person who lives under the bridge due to a haircut, but there we go. So, damn, he's good looking, isn't he? Yeah. Yeah, wife would have a different opinion. But here we go. So, working on this Chinese kit burst Les Paul that we finished in the dark burst. Now, when you saw it last, it had been freshly sprayed, and it's been hiding away in a nice warm place for quite a couple of weeks now. So I decided to get it out and do a polish on it and keep on the report on this Nitrolack lacquer. So here we go. How gorgeous is that? I mean, just look at the shine on that. I mean, it's, you know, it's come out beautifully. And the one thing that I'll say is, well, not the one thing, I've said plenty about this lacquer, but one thing I'll add about this lacquer is, like, oh my God, like, flattening and polishing the guitar is a breeze with this lacquer compared to the lacquer I normally use. This sprays on almost out of the gun to a finish. I mean, you saw how shiny it was. I mean, it's just in a different league to the normal lacquer I use for that. So, you know, it's obviously less orange peely sort of thing. So you've got much less sanding to do on it. And what I've been doing is basically wet and dry with 1000 grit, wet and dry to start off with. I haven't got any 2000 grit, and I'm sure that would make it even quicker, but then I've been using like 3000 grit on it, so it takes a bit of a while to get the scratches out from the 1000 grit. But I mean, I have flatted back and polished this guitar completely in about what would I say, maybe 3 hours maximum. And you know, I've done, you know, the back and the front there. You can see how shiny that is. The neck, the front there, you know, ooh, Gibson, sorry, you know, all over it. And with my old sort of eBay or whoever purchased cellulose lacquer, it would take me days to do, because I'd kind of flat it back. I think, oh yeah, that's okay. I'd polish it, and then I'd still see little dimples of where the, you know, I hadn't flatted it back enough, because when you use wet and dry, it all looks glossy, and you try and wipe it off with a paper towel, but you don't see it really until it's you know, until it's sort of dried. So you can end up polishing it all thinking it looks fine, which I would do, and then I'd think, oh Christ, that ain't good enough. So then I'd actually have to go over it again and you know, sand it all back again. So, you know, something like those gold top Les Pauls took me like, you know, probably, oh my God, 6, 7, 8 hours to do, I think, to flatten back and do, you know, on and off and that sort of thing. Like this is, like I say, this is like a walk in the park. I mean, you know, I'm almost astounded by that after as little effort as it's taken. So definitely though, Nitrolack lacquer with that, 100%, you know, and following the instructions, you know, by leaving it 24 hours between coats. I mean, I religiously followed the instructions, so I'm, you know, I'm kind of more pleased with this than the Strat that we did, but that's hardly surprising because that was a 50-50 finish between my old and new, and I didn't really follow the instructions. I just opened the tin and sprayed 3 coats on. So here we can kind of, yeah, I mean, I'm like stunned, you know. I mean, it's just beautiful. And you know, when I showed my wife it, I mean, it's the first time I've done the dark burst. Yeah, it's pretty spectacular looking, really, isn't it? And yeah, I love it, love it, love it. And it's almost a shame that I'm going to relic it, I think, because it does look so nice. But you know, it's done for a test of the paint, and I didn't do it like, because I was always intending to test the relic in. I didn't really do it perfectly. I mean, you can see on here, well, it's got white from the polish in it, but I've got like digs and marks in the back, and one of the reasons why that is there is because I've had this just chucked under the bed, this whole kit thing, for quite a while, and I feel somewhat guilty about that because, you know, as you've seen with my comments through the videos, that I actually think it's a real quality product. I mean, it's got a lovely flame on this top, can't criticise that. There's just a few things on it that don't make it accurate. I mean, I've addressed most of those. When you look at it from the outside, you know, you'd have to take it loose to seriously tell. You know, and I even went as far as removing the fretboard and making it thinner because it was far too thick and it just looked silly. That was the worst bit about it. So there we go. We'll stop there. I'll put it back in the airing cupboard, and we'll go from there. Give it another, I think we'll give it another week in the oven, sort of thing, metaphorically speaking, to harden off. Then we'll dump it in the freezer and see what happens with the cracking. So rock and roll. Thank you.
So here it is finished, just outside, just to give you another look at it. I think actually the video, just the snip previous to this, shows it just as good, but this is just the finished product now. You can see that I think the whole dark burst process, it just worked really well. Really pleased with this guitar. I think you'll be pleased to know that yes, it ended up not relicked. Like I say, a guy bought it off me in this state, basically, to build up himself, and I think I would have just felt too bad relicking it after looking like this. So yeah, very pleasing. I think probably sometime in the future I'll build another Les Paul with this finish. I just think it looks gorgeous, and at least in the last video you saw the back of it as well, with the walnut back rather than the red back. Really like that. Looks great. Job done, completely finished. Apologies for the rather bitty video thing due to phone faults, but yeah, I hope this gives you a good idea of the process, and thanks very much for watching. I really do love all the comments and you know, and the videos and the likes, so thanks very much for that. It's quite lonely working in the shed, so when I'm chatting away on the video, at least I feel I've got you guys who watch around me almost in real time, and it just makes the whole thing more enjoyable. So thanks very much, and keep the comments coming, and yeah, if there's anything you want me to build or something like that you think would be interesting, you know, drop us a comment below, and I'll see whether it tickles my fancy, and we'll start some new projects, because I can't keep doing Les Paul Strats, Flying V's, Les Paul Strats, Flying V's, Telecasters, this, that and the other. It'd be nice to do something different. Again, thank you.